Happy Thursday to you. Happy Thursday to you.
Oh,
well, I'm happy because the snow was melted in lovely Pittsburgh.
Amen.
So what's the topic for today?
All right, so here's the topic.
Okay. Am I ready?
You're totally ready. I know this topic is near and dear to your heart.
Okay. It's my wallet. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
No. Literally, every time I go into your house,
right,
this is on.
Every time you go to my house, this is on.
It's news. Today we're going to talk about news, news consumption, and the evolution of news, and really specifically TV news.
Okay.
So you said last time that you used to read New York Times every single day, but as a kid, did you watch the TV news on a regular basis?
Yes, because I had no choice. We had one television in the house.
Okay.
It basically got 5 channels, and the family would watch the news. So we would all watch the news, but it was only like 30 minutes.
So as a family, every day you're watching the news. Did you guys discuss what?
No, nobody discussed
No.
it. No, they wouldn't even talked about it.
But you guys would watch it.
There's nothing else to watch. You got to limit. I mean, seriously.
Right. But you found news fascinating for some reason. I mean,
I found news fascinating, especially when I was like 14. I worked for that on a farm and for Czech immigrants.
Right.
And they were watching maybe I was 15, 14. They were watching the National Republican Convention.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where one of the things really got to be turned on to politics. These were foreigners.
Right. And that's kind of what got you.
That was the first time I watched a political convention. It was in a house with foreigners, and I was working there for them as a quote-unquote farm cadet for, I think, $12 a week.
Yeah. At some point with news,
right,
it kind of went sensationalized, right?
I'll tell you when.
Okay, that was what happened? What do you think?
CNN. When CNN went on television.
Right.
Your mother and I literally wouldn't stay in a hotel when we went away and listen at CNN. We used to go overseas. We would book a hotel. We'd insist on CNN. So once CNN come on, I basically stopped watching network news.
So what happened? Why did CNN sensationalize news?
Because it gave you a international perspective. And a guy like me, I was always more interested in international news than I was what was happening down the block in the Bronx.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying more is sensationalized. Like we have
24/7.
No, more like the idea of like the news that really isn't news, like sensational, like titillating type of.
They didn't have it. I don't think they had it then. They had the bombing, and they were guys. They were in Beirut. I mean, no, they didn't. I don't think I watched that part. No,
Do you feel like the titillating part happened with like the Clinton and Monica? Do you think that was? Do you feel like that was the?
Yeah, they elevated oral sex to a whole new place.
Well, I'm thinking like obviously I was younger, and I feel like there's always been a side of titillating news. But I'm just thinking, was that it? Or
no,
was there...
because when cable got big, it had to fill time. You have to understand how cable works.
Right.
Cable's got to fill 24/7 time.
Right.
So they got to pick any shit they got to put it on to fill the time, whether it's valuable or not. But especially this other stuff, because it's free. You put these people on, it's free. You're publicizing their movie, you don't have to pay them. So they're taking up. You got to sell.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Yeah.
You have to sell that time. You got to fill that time. Then plus sell commercials.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, Bobby and I produced a TV show on Hilton. We know a little bit about how that stuff works. So they're selling time for the commercials, plus they got to fill in the other time. Don't put anything on.
But I guess so, and this is like we're just talking about like Americans. So Americans, I'm just trying to kind of thinking out loud. Americans get CNN.
Right.
So now they're like.
Now we know what's happened in Beirut.
Like our consumption.
Right.
And so the broadcast news, ABC, CBS, almost have to like shift on what they're reporting.
What they started to do is have more international correspondence and do more international stuff.
Right.
and a little bit more talks, but they couldn't compete. No, nobody could compete with CNN for a long time until they came out with MSNBC.
Right.
Okay, and that's when they had Imus on, which was fabulous. Okay.
Oh, right. I totally forgot about him.
Yeah.
What about the whole idea that journalism or journalists are no longer so much nonpartisan?
They never were.
They never were.
No.
You never felt watching
We didn't know.
news.
We didn't realize. We didn't know, but they never were. The worst was Cronkite. I mean, Cronkite literally convinced the American people we were losing in Vietnam when the reality was different, but he was to the left, you know.
When did you realize that there was
No, they
a
probably
spin?
much later. Wait, 20, 30 years later, you know, a lot of stuff came out. I mean, no, these guys were always to the left. They always were.
So,
We just didn't know it.
but then what, like, okay, but now it's so,
Now it's obvious.
it's so obvious. So,
Yeah.
like, how did that, I'm just trying to figure out, like, how did that even change? Like, all of a sudden, you're like, Fox News, MSNBC.
Well, number one, Fox gets all.
CNN,
Okay, Fox is
like-
the number one watch, number one. So
Okay.
now all these other people got to compete. So what do? They certainly can't compete being pro-Trump because Fox is. So
Right.
what do? They got to be anti-Trump, whether they are or they are. So now Fox, MSNBC, CNN,
Yeah,
and they're probably another couple. They're all now anti-Trump.
Bloomberg.
Not
That's
Bloomberg
all.
so much. No. I like Bloomberg's business, but now they all got to compete with Fox.
Okay, but where do you think Fox? Why do you think Fox was like, you know what?
Somebody figured out a niche.
We need another network, another news network.
Somebody figured it out. Roger Ailes,
Okay.
figured it out. He was a Republican. He
Yeah.
figured out. He said, "Let's try this," and it worked. He convinced Murdoch to do it.
Yeah.
That was genius.
What do you think? So I feel like
But the average guy watching TV doesn't even get it. Doesn't even understand what's going on.
really
Doesn't understand the marketing.
you don't think so?
The average American, I don't think figures. No, they don't understand. You got to fill the filling of time, the selling of commercials. They haven't got a clue.
They're just turning it on.
They just turn it on. It's noise in the background.
What do you think about poor local news? I mean, like the local news that you see at like.
I don't watch
6.
local news.
But I guess, do you think there's still value in that? Do you think it's going to go
Yeah.
away? Like,
No. There is value. I'm just not interested in local news.
yeah. What about the fact that there is pretty much anybody, for good or bad, can be a journalist?
Oh, absolutely.
And
I know
like,
because that's
it's
because of the
gone
internet.
wild.
That's because of the internet.
And like, what do you feel about that? You watch. I know you're an avid YouTube watcher,
Yeah, I love it.
and you look at the internet. Like, what do you think about the fact that like the teller of the news is now anybody who has like an iPhone?
Yeah, well, that's okay. But I understand where you have to understand who it's coming from. When you watch it, you have to be an intelligent viewer
Well,
and understand where it's coming from. So I watch somebody new. The first thing I do,
yeah,
I look up their name online.
yeah,
I want to see what their background is. Where did they go to school?
okay. You do this when you're.
Absolutely. Mother and I do it all the time. When somebody new comes on with these talk shows, she's on her. I'm on
Get
mine.
out of here! You do that.
I want to know the background of the person I'm watching. Then it can tell me what they're thinking, what they're saying.
Okay.
It gives me an idea into why they're coming from where they're coming from.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you think the
No, the stupidos turn it on and listen to the news and watch the boom, 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 the flickering. No, they don't.
What do you think about this whole idea? And it's come up, in the last year of like fake news. That's like a big. That's a
Fake.
huge.
God, who was the
like,
guy's name? Goebbels?
slogan.
Goebbels? Yeah, during the Nazi regime, during the socialist regime
Yeah.
in Europe,
Right.
they use fake news all the time. And now the socialists in this country doing the same thing.
But that seems to be like a huge buzzword.
Yeah, because but in those days they didn't call it fake news; they called it propaganda.
Right.
Okay, now we don't use the term propaganda anymore. We use fake news. Fake news is propaganda. Now, in propaganda, some stuff was true, some stuff wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, the National Socialists in Germany, okay, they did it all the time. They invented it.
Yeah.
Goebbels, Dr. Goebbels, or Goebbels, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. He was a genius. So now his followers here, the National Democratic Socialist Party, they're picking up where the socialists left off in Europe. If you look at all the things the socialists did from the late 20s until the 40s in Germany, take away guns. You can't have people with guns. Okay.
Yeah.
Identify who's who.
I guess, just thinking about the news and like the evolution of it, it is interesting that you say like you look up the people that you're watching. So
because before people had some kind of accreditation. If they came on CBS or NBC, you figured this guy had some kind of accreditation as a reporter. Right. Forget what his leanings were.
Right.
Okay, but the guy was hired. He got a paycheck. You figured somebody checked him out. Okay. Now you got these people sprouting up with their stories all over. You don't know what they're. They could be like me. They graduated high school barely. You don't know, so you need to figure it out. You need to look it up.
I mean, what do you think? And I guess to kind of like, what do you think the evolution of news is? I mean, I know the internet, right? I mean, that's kind of where it's at. That's truly where people are consuming.
Yeah, me too.
Their news.
But now I like the fact that I have a smart TV, so I'm combining the internet with my television.
How so?
So instead of looking it up on my laptop, I look it up on my television.
While you're watching the news,
right? I got my laptop.
Yes.
I can look up the person's name that's talking, see what she's all about, what he's all about.
Do you think that's like because I know you're like an avid news person, like truly, like I don't know anyone else who is like digs news like you, and so I'm just curious. Like,
well, I like to listen to all the sides of the news too.
Yeah, no, you're like the newsman, and I'm just curious. Like, you've seen news evolve, right? I mean, you had radio.
That's right. I'm a radio guy. I started out listening to
radio.
And then TV came along when I was like 7. We bought a TV.
Now, and the evolution of the TV, 24-hour news.
Right.
Internet, or like anybody can be a news person, internet. Like,
the scary point now is,
where do you see it?
The scary point now is anybody can be a news person. You have to really check people out when you're listening to somebody or watching somebody. Check out their background, see what they're about. Because today anybody can be a news person.
So do you think that's just the wave of the future, or do you think we'll go back to like the way
the pendulum always swings.
It always swings.
Right now it's swung over. It's going to come back towards the middle. It's going back to people and say, "Nah, this guy's an idiot." What the? Now let's get some.
He has no cred.
He's got no cred. Right? Let's get somebody with some kind of credibility. But you have to understand the networks like people like that too, because they're free. They're free or really cheap to hire, and they fill the time. Joe Schmo so-and-so said this, and they put it on. The guy, he's not even going to get paid. And they fill 5-minute segment, 10-minute piece, So
I guess the real conclusion is, if you are going to watch news, you really have to know what the hell you're watching, who you're watching,
right,
and just educate yourself and not just open the boob tube, look at the internet, and just be like, whatever they say is what it is.
Goebbels is praying. That's what people did. The National Socialists in this country are praying the same thing. They don't want people like me to look it up. They just want you to turn it on. So you got all of their flicks, what's the word? Their flunkies out there putting stuff out, and when people, that's got it. This Donald Trump is crazy. Donald Trump is this, that, and these stupid people believe that because some idiot says it.
Yeah.
But who's the idiot that's saying it? Educate yourself. Say where is that person coming from?
Okay.
And why is that person? How much is that person getting paid?
All right.
Money's the root, baby.
Money's the root. All right, that's good.
Motherfuckers of the world, you better unite, man.
Thanks, Dad. This has been news. Your favorite.
Like I always say, gotta unite.